Hello everyone. Have you ever wondered why your favorite snacks, clothes, or even that new iPhone you want are sometimes so expensive? Well, it's all thanks to supply and demand. And today we're going to break it down so you can understand how this stuff messes with your wallet. Whether you're buying sneakers, movie tickets, or just to survive the next price hike at the grocery store. The lesson outlines are as follow, and the learning outcomes as well. Defining supply and demand. Starting with demand. Demand is basically how much people want something. The higher the demand, the more people are going to want that. Simple, right? With supply, it is how much of that thing is available. If there's a lot of something, supply is high. If there's only a few left, supply is low. Let's say you're at the mall and everyone's running to buy the latest limited edition sneakers. High demand, but the store only has a few pairs. Low supply. What happens is, you guess it right, the prices goes up. Let's talk about real life examples in India. Mangoes in summer. Every summer, we are all waiting for mango season. But here's the catch, mangoes are only available for a few months. And when the season hits, everyone's buying them. So what happens? Prices rise. If the supply is low and everyone wants them, the prices goes up, right? This is what happens with the seasonal demand. Example 2, the iPhone drop. Every time Apple drops a new iPhone, it's like pandemonium. People literally camp outside stores waiting for the release. It's high demand, but supply is super limited. So the prices stay high. Once the hype dies down and more iPhones are available, the prices drops. See what's happening here? Supply and demand impacting the prices. We have two examples, gas prices and movie tickets. With the gas price, you know how gas prices shoot up randomly. That's because supply of oil can go down, like when there's a supply crisis somewhere, but the demand for fuel doesn't change. So when supply is low, prices at the pump rises. It's bad, right? With movie tickets, ever try to buy a ticket for a high dub Bollywood movie on opening day? The demand is high, but the supply, the seats are low. So the cinema people know that they can change the premium prices for those who first shows for the ticket. Once the movie's been out for a while, the prices drop because the demand isn't high as it used to be. Now, what happens when supply and demands are out of balance? There are two examples. Too much supply, not enough demand. You've seen those huge sale at the end of the season, right? That's when shops have way too much stock and no one's buying it. So to get rid of it, they lower the prices and give you the crazy deals. With the second example is too much demand and not enough supply. Think of when everyone wants the latest gaming console, but only a few of them are available. So the prices go through the roof, especially on places and platforms like eBay and Flipkart. That's people flipping items for insane profit because the demand is just too high. Talking about the ameliorative measures to fix the cost imbalances, opportunity cost. There are four ways to do that. Improving the supply chain. Well, the sometimes things get expensive because there aren't enough resources or they get stuck somewhere along the way. If India invests in better infrastructure, better roads, and more efficient supply chain, we could still lower the prices, boost domestic production. For things like fuel and certain goods, India can focus on producing of its own stuff. If India can produce more of what we need, like food, fuel, or tech, it can reduce the pressure from the global supply and demand. Prices control and subsidies. In some cases, the government can step in and control the prices of essential goods like food and fuel. If things get too expensive for regular folks, the government can make sure the prices don't shoot up too high by giving subsidies or setting up price caps. Encouraging investment in tech and innovation. If new tech or alternative source of energy are introduced, it can help balance supply and demand by making things more efficient and reducing dependency on things like imports. Talking about the timeline to implement measures, there are as follow. With improving short term supply chain for things like food and fuel and offering temporary subsidies. In medium term, we can focus on building infrastructure and improving production in areas where there are shortages, like energy or manufacturing. With long term, we can invest in technological advancement and search for alternative energy resource sources. Three barriers to implementation are political resistance. Sometimes it's tough to get the government to act because they're dealing with a bunch of different issues at once. Plus, raising taxes or cutting subsidies can be super unpopular. Global factors like global oil prices or economic crisis in other countries can mess up with the supply and demand in India. We don't have full control over global supply and chains. Economic slowdown. If India starts fixing the imbalance by raising interest rate or tightening things up, it could slow down economic growth, which could create job problems and make the cost of living even worse in the short run. My final thoughts can start with historical references. Let's talk about history for a second, right? India's seen this before. Remember the 1970s oil crisis. Oil prices shot up, and because India depended on a lot on oil imports, we felt that squeeze. Prices went up on everything. The government tried to control the prices, but that led to rationing and shortages. So this stuff isn't new, but we can learn from the past and work toward better solution. All right. Now that was your breakdown of supply and demand and how it affects you and your wallet. We looked at what can be done to fix things, but also the barriers that make it tough. Bottom line, supply and demand will always be part of our lives. But if we improve how we handle it, prices don't have to be as crazy. Thanks for listening and catch you later.